Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you're watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, for the Mike Martins channel. Tonight is Mike in the Night, housing refugee segment. Really interesting articles I want to throw up for you guys. And it's, yes, you heard me right. Housing refugees. This mass exodus of people living on the eastern seaboard. From, let's get our map. I got a map here so we could follow today. From, I would say, Vancouver. Let me zoom it out, all the way down to San Diego. Okay, so I was disconnected here for a second. Not sure why. I don't know why. The studio recording thing just stopped working. I guess it was tired. Hello, Mike. Good evening. Wise Man's in the house, guys. Wise Man is in the house. And don't forget to comment in the comment section, guys. I appreciate it very much. So I know you're here, and you're alive, and you're well with Mike in the Night. It is Saturday night. Today is the 15th of July, 2018. Man, is it a hot one. Oof, it's hot out there. I don't even want to go outside. I don't even want to go outside. That's how bad it is. So what do we got going down, guys? What is happening here? So everybody knows what's happening in Vancouver and all the way up to pretty much Hope. This whole area is pretty much completely out of reach for most people. But what is happening south of the border? So I do bring it up pretty much every other week or every week in trends in the housing market. But let's focus here. Let's start on our map with Bellingham. Now, where's Bellingham? Let me zoom that in a lot. Right here. About 15-minute drive from the Canadian border. Bellingham, first affected. Now, what happened in Bellingham was a lot of the people, once again, that left during the foreign buyers tax that was implemented in Vancouver. What happened was a lot of people moved south, and a lot of people started buying up in Bellingham, a lot of investors. And they weren't picking up luxury homes. They were picking up homes for like 130, 200,000, 160. And they weren't picking up one home. They were picking up 10, 15, 20 homes at a time. Now, what's happening in Bellingham, here's what's happened to as buyers tire of getting beat up by Bellingham's housing market. The steady drumbeat in the local real estate recently is that inventory is tight and home prices keep rising. It appears that some buyers have had enough. So what's happening is while inventory remains tight, sales are solid and home prices continue to rise. Price reductions are also increasing along with home being pulled off the market. So it's being tough. Between June 13, 52 price reductions made on homes across Whatcom County, including 23 price reductions in Bellingham. So what happened was the market hit a massive peak real fast in Bellingham, real quick in a heartbeat. And what happened was it pretty much brought homes to a level that shouldn't be at. And now inventory of single-family homes under 400,000 tends to be low for this time of year. So it's really hard to find anything under 400,000 now in Bellingham. And guys, trust me, 2 years ago, oh man, you can find tons. 400 is a lot of money. Back 2 years ago was a big deal. 400 buys you a mansion in Bellingham, a mansion with a pool and 2 boats. But now everything's changed. In the mere, it was the mass exodus of people leaving the Vancouver area once they had the foreign buyers tax. Boom, they jumped into Bellingham. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Dylan Lopez is in the house. How you doing, buddy? So Bellingham has its problems. Let's move to this article. What will $900 rent you in Bellingham right now? Look at that. Right there. You could have a party in that thing. But that's what $900 will get you. A room. I think it's a room. Oh, it's a shared home. So it's like one half and then the other half goes to the others. Okay, I see what it is. We've rounded up the latest rental offerings, rental site Zumper, to get you a sense of what to expect when it comes to finding housing in Bellingham if you're on a budget of $900 a month. So read for listings. So this is it. Whoa. Looks like someone hand-painted those cabinets. Looks good. I don't even think that stove works, to be really honest with you, but that's okay. Oh, it's got a crooked wall here. Look. Look, the wall goes like this. It goes... Oh, it's luxurious. Okay. Oh, look at that one. So, you don't get much of nothing for $900 US. 500 square footers is what they are. So that's how bad it's getting right now in the city of Bellingham. So guys, housing market's beating up a lot of people. So this is what I want to bring up here. The result is the gap that's being created during the peak period of the home buying season. Home buyers believe are properly priced are getting multiple offers, while ones that have viewed overpriced are sitting with no offers. So people are trying to get out ahead or trying to break even. Because what happened was, when a lot of people, what's happened? Okay, let me explain this to you guys. A lot of people went into debt, and not in their house. Okay, I mean debt. They bought a Jaguar. They bought a Rolex. They bought some nice fancy stuff. But the problem is, oh, I have a home. I can get a credit card easy. Now, they got all this debt. Selling their home alone won't cover it. So they want to oversell their home to cover everything that they've accumulated in debt and walk away, basically, with what little things they have. So somebody commented here. Hold on. I recommended a movie. Jason, yeah, watched the movie I recommended. Mike, I watched Pacific Heights today, the movie you recommended a few days back. Excellent movie. Oh, man, the movie's so good. Let's... working on it is here. I'll need you to show what you could get for $900 in Edmonton. Oh, no. You see, here's the thing. For people tuning in. We're starting here in Bellingham, right? So we're in here in Bellingham. Keep getting these fake friend request things from Clip Converter. So here's Bellingham, right? So we started here. So Bellingham market went nuts after the foreign buyer's tax in Vancouver went in. Now, like, this is the low end, and this is what you get, right? So now let's take our map and let's go to Everett. So just south of Bellingham, you're going to pass Mount Vernon here. You're going to keep going south to Everett, which is right here. Cha-cha-cha-cha. We are in officially Everett. So let's go to the Everett story. There's nowhere to go. RV campers filling Everett streets. And a lot of them are coming from California. They're moving up north along Stray, finding streets to park on where you're allowed to park. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, people used to own a house and an RV. And they would use their recreational vehicle to go out recreationally. Now they're living in them full time. And then now a lot of them are coming from different parts of the southern California area and Oregon area. Because they've been kicked out of many places, right? Everett, Washington. Everett police claim they're seeing more homeless people camped in RVs along the city streets. We've seen an increase in people that are living in the vehicles, whether it's motorhomes or standard cars. I wonder if the cars have to be standard or automatic to sleep in them. I'm just kidding. And Dan Templeton, Everett police chief. The trend coincides with the rise of homeless population in Snohomish County. According to the homeless population, increased 9.9% since 2013. That's a lot. Holy Christ! That's like if there's 1,000 people in the county, 100 of them will be homeless. 9.9. Okay. 9,900. So if it's 1,000 people, 99. Wow, 99 people would be homeless. That's a huge increase of homelessness in a mere couple of years. Comments are going. Anon's here. Hey, Mike. Oh, yes. Dylan Lopez is right. Made it for once. I've never get any notifications, though. You see, my channel, guys, is designed not to give you guys notifications. Because YouTube brands me as a bad actor. Like I'm not a real channel. So even though I have a lot of people telling me that they keep getting unsubscribed from me and they never unsubscribed. So YouTube is trying really hard to get rid of channels like mine. They want channels where you see people pouring gravy down their pants and some guy waking up with toothpaste all over his forehead and some friends did that to him. Or that hippopotamus with chronic diarrhea. Like stuff like that. But they don't want guys like me, you know, just reading friggin' news reviews on what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Okay, Dylan brought up a very important comment here. Where I am, people placed ads. Do you have a place on your property for a driveway or a driveway willing to rent it to us to live on from an RV from it? Well, here goes, guys. They're actually making that illegal in some states now. Hold on. Where was it illegal? Hold on. They just passed a law last week. They just passed a law, and I'm just trying to think. It's a city in Canada and a city in America, too. They both passed laws to make it illegal for you to sleep in your own camper on your own driveway on your property. Okay, I'm not talking about camping, recreational, by the lake. I'm talking about like on your house property in a residential area. You can have it parked there, but you can't sleep in there. I'm gonna find out there's two cities. So right now, Everett. So let's go to our map, our road trip map. So we started in Bellingham. What's happening in Bellingham? You guys saw. If you haven't seen, go back to the beginning of the show. Everett is plagued with this problem. Wow, RVs everywhere, unemployment everywhere. And what they're saying here is that they need to find a balanced approach to find a solution to the problem. But the amount of RVs filling Everett streets, like I said, a lot of them came from California and Oregon areas. And these RVs, they're human beings and they're looking for a place to live. Recreation vehicles are used for recreational use, and now people are using them to live in full time with kids and stuff. And it's really sad. So that's our problem in Everett. Let's go back here. Let's see if we head down to Seattle. Did I get a Seattle article? Yeah, I got a Seattle article. Seattle housing market headed for a crash. Seattle housing market heading for a crash? The Washington State housing market is the hottest in the country. Remember, guys, the whole west coast of the United States is bought out. So a lot of people, let's talk about a lot of the foreign investors that came in. Somebody asked me, and they asked me a very, very sincere question, and it's a good question. And they asked me in the comment section, and it's in one of my videos. At the bottom of the comments was one of the last comments. And a lady wrote, and she told me, Mike, it's not just the West Coast. New York City or New York is facing, or New York City is facing this problem. Yes, it is. But it's different. People that buy in New York City, they buy those $20 million condos, $30 million penthouses, $18 million beautiful homes, but they live in them. And they're New Yorkers, and they're or wealthy Americans. It's not people buying them and leaving them empty in New York State. So a lot of the expensive real estate or the poshy stuff is owned all by New Yorkers. Majority of them are just New Yorkers or maybe high-end affluent Chicagoers or high affluent New Jersey people living in them. It's not where the foreign investors came. They didn't buy those properties in New York. They went and they bought properties, for example, on the West Coast. They'd buy 13 homes, 14 homes, and just leave it alone and leave them empty. It's a big difference. They don't go for those big deal homes. And so that's the answer to her question. Why is New York so... But no, New York is different. I could bet you a dime to every dollar that... I could bet you 1,000 to 1. You could knock on every one of those doors and somebody's home at those million, $3, $4, $5 million homes in Manhattan. You knock on those doors, someone, yes, sir, can I help you? Hi, does somebody live here? Yes. Go to the next house, knock. Hi. Oh, hi, someone's home. Yeah, we're home. What do you want? Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Comments. Dylan Lopez. Yeah, your own camper on your own lot. Yeah, in a residential. You think when you buy a home that you own it legally? You don't. That's true. It has come across my mind to get a van to live in, or even stealth camping. Yeah, van's not bad. I managed to find a rental, but was considering 2 months ago to go camping. I'd be more productive to be in a home, though. 40% of my post-tax income is for rent. That's Anon from down under in Australia. And then Dadine 256 saying, isn't Surrey where it's illegal to live in an RV in your driveway? Yeah, I think it's Surrey too. I think it's Surrey. I think it's not Hope. It's one. I think it's Chilliwack. I think it, if I'm right. An elderly was obliged to leave. Woo, sexy girl. Do you live in Merritt? Wow. See, what's happening, guys, I got this virus from Clip Converter, from taking videos from YouTube and, like, cartoons for my kid to put on his tablet. And now this Clip Converter keeps posting all this cool stuff for me. The things that housing is unaffordable for many. It's true. That's why people are living in RVs. Sending people into homelessness actually holds the economy and people back and is bad for productivity. It's hugely bad for productivity. So here's the problem. Not enough supply in Seattle, but they're not mentioning the 66 or 67,000 empty units in Seattle. You know, they're not mentioning the first time we mentioned here, the 19,000 units in Bellingham. They're not mentioning all these empty units everywhere, you know. So back to Seattle. How hottest housing market? Why? Because it's honestly because it's just south of Vancouver. That's why. It's why. And the amount of real estate agents that went over to China with, what do you call those, brochures in Mandarin to sell to people that used to invest in Vancouver. They went down there and they just bought it up like no one's business. Seattle's housing market was going up in some quarters 11% a quarter. So now they're looking, or people are looking. Workers are being forced to look farther and farther from the city to find a place to live. These factors are leaving many to wonder just how the boom will end, softly or a crash. It will be a crash because there's too much foreign money manipulating the markets, and the American proper is finished. So that's going to be a crash. Okay, let's go back to our map. We're in Seattle. We're going to head south, guys. So let's see where we're going to get. Right here, we're still in Seattle, okay? Seattle hits 20 months at the nation's hottest housing market, but relief for buyers may be on the horizon. So they're predicting that prices rose. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Seattle home prices in April rose 13.1% over the same period a year ago. That is enormous. Las Vegas, San Francisco held on to their spots, whereas Seattle, with the annual price growth of 12.7% and 10.9% respectively. Seattle has been atop of the Case-Shiller's Index for 20 straight months now, and a combination of historic population boom and record lows. So why do they call it population boom? No one's having more kids. No one's moving there. It's just a lot of, yeah. There's too much monkey. Look at Seattle's median home sale price in May was $830,000, up more 100,000 from a year ago. 100,000 in a year. 800. You're finished. That's why people have to go further and further away from Seattle, and why? It's because of the free market that the United States has. The free market, capitalism, come in and buy our country out. Let's move on, guys. As priced out Seattleites flee to Tacoma's getting more expensive. Let's go back to our map, guys. Tacoma, right here, guys. Just south of Seattle. So Tacoma's getting hit bad. Just south of the city of Kent. So there's Tacoma. We're heading south, guys, to California, okay? So right now, where were we? Yeah, Tacoma is getting more expensive, guys. Market-weary house hunters are finding reprieve in the city of Destiny, and they are bringing high prices with them. When RJ and Ann Casey moved to Seattle from Chicago 4.5 years ago, they landed a studio apartment for $1,800 a month. With RJ working as an editor and Fantagraphics, a comic book publisher, and Ann running a physical therapy clinic, the rent was manageable for a time. But after a few years, the couple wanted to start a family. A studio apartment would no longer do. Looking to truly set down roots, they decided to buy a house. Still, even with dual incomes, a home in Seattle market was out of reach. We don't even look for homes in Seattle, says RJ. The lowest price houses near us was $500,000, and most were between that and $1 million. So that's what's happening, guys. RJ and Ann's story is becoming commonplace, with the median home prices in Seattle well above $800,000 and $640,000 in King County. Homeownership is now well out of reach for many middle-income people in the area. Not so much of a problem in Tacoma, where the median home price is around $288,000. So, you see, $288,000 is the median home price. Why? Because that's the price housing should be for your income. People think, oh, Mike, it costs $1 million to build a house now. No, it doesn't. $200,000, $300,000. I keep bringing up $300,000 for the average home. That's what the average home should be worth. When you calculate your cost of living, you calculate food and gas, transportation, all that crap. $300,000 is what you're left with two good incomes. And everyone says, ooh, Mike is delusional. So, Hugh Jazz is in the house. So that's what's happening. So when I say the average house should be around $300,000, guys, I'm not just trying to do that as a punt or trying to, get people riled up because they pay $2 million for a house that's realistically worth $300,000. Why is my house worth $300,000 when I pay $200,000? Because that's all the people could afford to buy. It's an average house. You're not living in the Taj Mahal. You're not living in a plantation, a farm. You're living in an average house. Why are you paying $1 million when you could go to Tacoma and buy for $288,000? Now Tacoma's going to start getting hit. Tacoma's going to start seeing the you know what I'm saying? That's Canadian. That's U.S. dollars. $288,000 is $304,000 American, or $309,000 American. So, see, Anon's saying $50,000 of materials you could build something basic and nice. You're looking at $30,000 in lumber, and then doors and windows for $20,000, and roofing and all that stuff. You could put something together. So $288,000 is what the average person with two incomes like they have could afford, and two decent incomes, according to what the article is saying. Yep. So that's what it is, people. So the trend, they're talking about how this trend's been going on for the last 2 years, pretty much since Vancouver threw up its foreign buyers tax. Everyone hit south. Everybody. The ones that went east of Toronto are crying the blues right now. So priced out Seattleites flee. Tacoma's getting more expensive. So let's go. There's Olympia. There's Tacoma. Okay, let's keep heading south on our map. What do I get to? Where did I find good articles? We read that. We get rid of that. We get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Okay, let's move on. Okay, guys, we're going to hit Oregon because Oregon is really right here. State of Oregon. So we're just going to go head south, 1.5 hour drive. And we're going to head to Oregon. A one-bedroom in Oregon is now unaffordable for the average worker. Whole West Coast, guys. Whole West Coast of America is getting plagued by this. Anon saying it's all government intervention and the banks are driving up costs. Wiseman says, unless the bathroom has gold floors, I'm not paying $1 million for... Exactly. The average home is not $1 million, guys. Because, you know why the average home is not $1 million? Because the average income isn't $160,000, $200,000. That's not the average income. If the average income is that, then the average home should be $1 million. But that's not the average income. Combined income is like $110,000. Gross. You cut half of that off. What are you left with? One bedroom in Oregon is now unaffordable. A new report from National Low-Income Housing Coalition gives stark illustration of the rise in housing costs across Oregon. So this is right across Oregon, guys. So Oregon is being plagued with housing refugees from California. So a lot of refugees from California that can't afford to live there anymore, and I'm not talking about refugees from other, I'm talking about American proper that can't live in California, has moved to Oregon. And the people from Washington State that got bought out are moving to Oregon. So Oregon, the whole state of Oregon is completely bought out. The report looks like the average for renters compares to what a typical apartment would cost. For the first time, the report shows the average renter would need to spend more than 30% of their income on rent. See, it's still good, 30%. Where in parts of Australia, it's 68%. Parts of Vancouver, it's like 70%. Toronto, 61%. So it's 30%, and they're freaking out on 30% of their income. If you can't afford it, you don't really have a choice. A lot of people do go over the 30% threshold, of course. They still can't afford a home, but probably something else is out of reach. While local governments across the state are scrambling to address the housing crunch, Ninju said that the housing shortage has been a long time coming. You know what, guys? It's going to get a lot worse if nothing gets corrected here. Nothing's being corrected. So, I want to wish everybody a very happy Saturday night. It is Mike in the Night. I know I do other topics on Saturday night, but I felt like doing some West Coast of America discussion. All right. Let's go back to our map. We're going to head south. Zoom out. I knew I saw this somewhere here. Sacramento. Sacramento. As priced... Oh, whoops, sorry. We'll close that one. I read that one. One bedroom in Oregon is now unaffordable for the average worker. And they're not talking about minimum wage workers. They're talking about like the average guy that makes 13, 14 bucks an hour. He can't afford, it's out of reach for the average, a good, decent place. A new federal housing report. If you make less than $117,000, you're low income in San Francisco. There you go. I just said $120,000 income. Forget it. You living on the West Coast? Forget it. The West Coast is going to be completely abandoned. Let me tell you what's going to happen. And I call this paper cities. These are paper cities. San Francisco will become okay. Seattle is a better example. Seattle will become a paper city. Why? Because smaller cities are going to have to give money to the state, and the state's going to have to give money back to Seattle to keep it afloat, to keep their infrastructure afloat, and to keep the city afloat, because they're going to be so abandoned, these cities, that the smaller cities that everyone moved to have to contribute to keep those big cities afloat. And that's going to be another tax burden on people. I call those paper cities. So, Mia Nino says, well, even an apartment in Hong Kong costs $5 million. Mia Nino says, US and Australia sounds cheap to them. Mike, you should watch and read about Hong Kong brain drain. Guess what they're guess where they are moving. Seattle? I think they're moving to Seattle. So, Hugh Jazz commented Seattle. Okay, if you make less than $170,000, you are low income in San Francisco. People, you are low income in San Francisco. Look, this entire ghost town in Yosemite Park, is selling for under $1 million. It's a complete mining town. The whole town is for sale. Everyone's for sale now. Everything's for sale. See, a Californian who earns around 60,000 a year, 60,000 a year is considered low income. An April report, 24/7 Wall Street pegged the median home price for a home in San Francisco was $1 million. Silicon Valley, $900,000. Fairmont, California, $1.23 million. And I just named out a bunch of cities where the multi-million people living, millions of people living. We're not talking 10,000, we're talking millions of people. Someone's saying you should buy that, Mike, and make a ghost town movie. Yeah, I know, man. A ghost movie, for sure. All right. What $500,000 homes look around California? So is this Sacramento? I think this is a Sacramento article here. This is what $500,000 gets you. Okay, the Silicon Valley half-burned home. That's nice. Oops, sorry. Sold for $900,000. Sorry. That's nice. 900 large? Dude, you could have like a party, right? And then you could like use the house with barbecues and stuff outside, and then like kind of put holes in the wall and trash it, and then wake up in some of those weeds in the morning. Excellent movie idea, but to pay him $900,000 for that, it's not okay. People are saying it's location, like the land's worth it. No, it's not. I'm sorry. $900,000. You can move to Prince Edward Island, buy a house with 10 acres of land for 90 grand, and put the rest. If you have that much money to spend, you might as well think outside the box. You know what I'm saying? And then Mia Nino says, Mr. Roboto C is in the comment section. Mia Nino says, that looks better than the $2.4 million house in Vancouver. It does look better. The $2.4 million house in Vancouver that had foundation issues. So you actually had to dig out the foundation. It probably cost you like $90,000 to $150,000 just to dig out the foundation alone. That's just taking out all the existing piping and all the cement that was laid there after World War I. Andrea Nikitina says, why aren't you more involved in cryptocurrencies? They provide lower transaction costs in sending money or purchasing products. They also cut out the middleman and avoid taxes. Yes, I think cryptocurrencies are in their infant stage still. Yeah, they'll get bigger. I think that will be the world's dominant currency, will be cryptocurrencies, but I don't think it's going to be right now. I believe it will be, yeah, 1,000,000%. You know. So, technically, California has seen higher prices before, so let's hear. Oh, this is a little fixer-upper. Whoa, 250 square feet. 500,000. It's got a cactus on the side there. So here, guys. This is a large suburban home, but this is the people leaving the Bay Area and Los Angeles. Where are they going? Many are heading to Sacramento area, where $500,000 gets you some pretty nice digs. So this is what you get in Sacramento. Yeah, let's go back to our map. That's where we are. Sacramento. Why did this go back right up like that? Oh, because I read that. Pa-pow. So that's get you some nice digs. Look at this, Nevada. Nevada is getting out at $498 in Nevada. But don't worry, guys. I can show you $150,000 homes for the same home. Wow. San Diego. Victorville. What? Oh, somebody has an exact replica of the White House. Exact replica of the White House would cost you, what was it? What was it? 400,000 and up. That's what it says. But anyways, let's move on. Oh, this is a good article. America's housing crisis is a ticking time bomb. We know this, but nearly every measure of the American housing sector is broken. For decades, city, state, and federal policies have contributed to rising rents, falling subsidies. Let's keep going. Number one, Low cost of housing is disappearing from the market. Okay, guys, without a middle class, okay, let's go back to basics here. Basic ergonomics and economics. Without the middle class, the rich won't pay the taxes, and the poor, dirt poor, can't afford to pay taxes. Or they're on some subsidies or something. So, without low-cost housing, the structure, the pillars won't work. The pillars won't hold up. So for decades now, the housing costs have risen faster than incomes. Since 1960, renters' median earnings have gone up 5%. Rents have spiked 61%. So 5 to 61, that's huge. So earnings have gone 5% and homes have gone up 61%. Why? Because they lower interest rates so lending could be cheaper, and it puts you further in debt, and you stimulate in a way where I could buy what I need, but you're basically putting yourself into enslavement. You're becoming a slave. But wait, it gets worse. The Harvard study found that the fastest rise in home prices is at the low end of the market. Cheap homes, for those selling for less than 75% of the median price, are appreciating at twice the rate of high-end homes. That's correct. Why? A lot of investors, too, that are coming in, they're buying those lower-end homes, and they're buying 12, 13, 15, 16 of them. They're not buying one home. They're buying up blocks and blocks of homes. So this is a really good article. Real home prices have risen in most markets since 2000, but especially the highest cost metros. Yep. Number 2, America isn't building enough homes. Before the recession, America built 1.1 million homes per year. Its best year since the county built 849,000. So America's population is growing. And why aren't enough housing being built, right? Okay, number 3, America's cities are unaffordable. Oh, big time. Just don't even go there. We're going to go over all these coastal cities here tonight. It's severely unaffordable. That's why Walking Journey from the Walking Journey channel moved to Texas. That's why I moved here to Merritt. That's why a lot of people... I met another couple that moved to Merritt from Vancouver. I met another couple that moved to Merritt, what was it, on Friday, because today's Saturday, yesterday, that moved from Chilliwack. So income, 1.1 million, rounding up the top 5 were Los Angeles, Honolulu, San Francisco, and San Diego. So that's that. Let's move on. Radical disparities are getting worse. An entry-level housing crisis monitors harder. Remember, fear of being bought out. So a lot of people have these fear of being bought out, and then number 5. High housing costs shift money from the young to the old, from young to old. Most of the glaring, at the least remarked upon forms of inequality is that between older and younger Americans. In nearly every way, rising home values and booming rents have benefited older Americans while holding younger Americans back. That's very true. That's a very good statement to put in there. That's a really good point, actually. Huge divide between the boomers and the youngsters that are the future of everything, of our, policies at every level are making it worse. Yeah, and then putting policies and then red tape and building laneway homes, and you can't build laneway homes, or you can't build your attic as an apartment, and then policies get in the way. Let's move on to the San Diego Tribune. So here it is. Let's move our way down to San Diego. Here I come. Right from the north to the south, the eastern seaboard is being bought out. It is I, Mike Martins, with the housing refugee crisis with Mike in the Night. Today is the 15th of July, 2018. Now, what do I mean by housing refugees? Housing refugees as American proper leaves cities they were born and raised in and having to move eastward into the continent to find affordable housing. Thanks for joining me. If you're just joining into the show, don't be afraid to scroll back and see what I was talking about. So let's keep going here. American housing crisis is ticking time bomb. We just read that. We just read that one. Housing crisis prompts San Diego to further loosen rules for live workspace. So they're trying to open more laneway homes, more fixing more, trying to put up more bike lanes and stuff like that. San Diego, guys, has 67,000 empty homes. In the article I was reading a few weeks back. 67,000 empty homes owned by foreign investors. That's it. They buy them and leave them empty. And average homes that the average American could live in, and, you know, housing is a must. Housing is like eating every day. If you don't have a place to live, you don't have a base. You don't have a headquarters. You don't have a place to relax, to protect yourself from the shelter, from Mother Nature, shelter yourself from Mother Nature. I mean, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, housing is like a must. It's a need. It's a need, not a want. You need a house, you want a penthouse. You need a bed to sleep in, you want a water bed. So, you see, you need a Toyota to get to work, you want a Ferrari. There's needs and wants. The stuff that people need that generally should be affordable if you're working, they can't get that stuff anymore. Again, San Diego needs to loosen rules for live-in workspaces. Data shows homeless on the move in San Diego. Again, the homeless population in San Diego has surged in some neighborhoods and dramatically dropped in others. A close look of numbers from this year's count of homeless people shows. Wow. The Hillcrest area saw 960% increase in the number of unsheltered homeless. 960% increase. Holy Christ. The area of Father Joe's Village, 400%. The Regional Task Force of Homelessness organized in January 26 annual count on May 8,576 homeless people throughout the county, and 6% drop from the previous year. So it's going down. Where are they headed? So here's the change in homelessness. This map shows you where they are in the high density areas. Look at that, guys. Look at that. There's the Mexican border. San Isidro. San Isidro. I've been there. I've been to San Isidro. And I got a really good article after this one. Okay, someone's saying, what exactly is big tech doing there? Enlighten me, please. Oh, yeah, big tech, Silicon Valley. Yeah, I get it. But remember, Silicon Valley was nothing. It was a desert until somebody walked in there and just started building technology companies and big tech, you know. Anyways, look at the homeless, man. Holy smokes. 1,000% increase in UC San Diego, University of California, San Diego, and then Bayho, 900% increase. Hillcrest, 960% increase. Golden Hill, wow. Bankers Hill went down. Middletown went down. This is a really well detailed article. It was a really good written article. And these people are really taking this homeless thing serious, because a lot of these people could be working and the government could be taxing them on their wages. You know, even if it's a lower end job, it's fine. But if they're working, they could contribute to society, you know, even if they don't go out and buy so much, even though they're not huge consumers, they're still being taxed on their wages. So they're still contributing, right? So let's move on. Now, hold on. There was, oh no, did I delete that article? Ah, is the next one I wanted to. Now, you know where we're heading to, guys? Tijuana. Viva Tijuana, Mexico. Right here, Tijuana. Why are we heading to Tijuana, guys? This is supposed to be about the west coast of America. Well, man, do I have a doozy of an article for you guys tonight. Undocumented Americans living in Tijuana, working in San Diego. America is facing a housing crisis. Americans are earning minimum wage are unable to afford the average rent for a decent two-bedroom apartment in any state, county, or metro area. California is facing some of the worst of it. Only 22 affordable rental homes available per 100 extremely low-income households. See, they're still working, they're contributing, they're paying taxes, people. They need to exist. There are 22, but some Southern California workers have a creative solution to the financial squeeze. Living abroad, correspondent Jessica Gomez has a story of the U.S. citizens making a daily international commute.
There's not a single state, county, or metro area in the United States where someone earning minimum wage could afford a decent two-bedroom apartment. That's according to a recent study from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition. California is in the middle of a housing crisis. Too much demand, not enough supply, and definitely not a lot of options for low-income renters. So, as our correspondent Jess Gomez tells us, they're heading south of the border for housing relief.
Before the sun sets on Tijuana, Mexico, some 90,000 people have left the city, crossing the border by car or by foot into San Diego.
I guess it's really easy to get back and forth across the border.
American David Flood is one of those international commuters.
Bastante tiempo, perdón. A friend of mine just kind of was joking around, was like, she'll get some tacos. And I was like, where? And he was like, get some tacos in Mexico. And I've been here in Mexico ever since.
That was more than a year ago. David had moved to San Diego hoping to escape the high cost of living in Seattle.
I was making actually good money, and I was still living under the livable wage over there.
It didn't take him long to realize he couldn't make ends meet in Southern California either. After months in hostels and Airbnb rentals, he headed to Tijuana for those tacos and a place to call home. The international move is saving him more than $1,000 per month in rent.
Tijuana has a huge potential based on its geography.
Real estate developer Miguel Marshall is tapping into that potential with a series of mixed-use developments.
The opportunity is right now, and we have to continue to grow and to meet demand.
The demand for affordable housing. In San Diego, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is $1,800 per month. 2- and 3-bedroom apartments can average up to $3,000 or more. Miguel owns the complex where David rents his apartment for only about $400 per month. About half of Miguel's tenants are American.
Once you're here, you start to see the richness of being in an emerging country.
Born in America and now living in Tijuana, Miguel says crossing the border is just a normal part of life.
It's like when people that live in Brooklyn have to cross the bridge to go to Manhattan. For us, it's like you have to cross the border to go to San Diego.
In a stark contrast to America's crackdown at the border, Americans can get into Tijuana without stopping or showing any kind of identification. It's hard to get an accurate count of how many Americans may be living in Tijuana because some may be there illegally.
And many of us as Americans living here live under the radar.
That's right, undocumented Americans living in Mexico. Jim Holston says his paperwork is in order. He runs a program called Immersion Tijuana Living, helping Americans acclimate to Mexico.
We get them hooked up with their tutors and different cultural immersion events. So different events that we have themed around getting to know the city.
The city's low cost of living is such a draw for some that Tijuana's murder rate, last year higher than Chicago, LA, Detroit, and New York combined, isn't enough to keep them away.
You know, I was like, what would I do in Mexico? Like, I hear so many bad things. And then when I came down here and I was like, this is actually not that bad. Not that bad at all.
But when it comes to jobs, David says there's just no comparison.
America has awesome income, a land of gold. So that's why I stay working there, and then I can utilize my gold over here.
He may have American gold, but David says he hit the housing jackpot in Tijuana. For Matter of Fact, I'm Jessica Gomez.
There you go, guys. Americans migrating, they say close to 90,000 people crossed there after work hours end. So, yeah, it's a big deal. Like I said, a lot of people are trying to make ends meet, so they're moving to Tijuana, Mexico. That's a really good story right there for you guys. And guys, in the comments, got too quiet there. Someone say something. Is someone watching there? And then Metro Phoenix renters must earn almost $20 an hour to afford an apartment. There you go. Just like the article we just saw in the Metro. Metro Phoenix renters need to earn... Whoa. Let's go back to our map. Where are we? So we just left Tijuana. We're going over to Phoenix. Here we go, Phoenix. So what's happened is the migration from LA County and San Diego has migrated eastbound to Phoenix. Right? So what is happening in Phoenix? Metro, so you need to earn about $19.50 an hour to afford a decent 2-bedroom apartment. The typical Valley renter earns $17.95 an hour, according to a new study of the National Low-Income Housing. Rising rents across the valley, squeezing growing number of renters into paying more than they could afford. So it could get worse for 89,000 Arizonans who receive HUD rental aid. Oh my God. Working overtime for rent. A renter must work 70 hours per week, making $18.46 an hour to afford a 2-bedroom home. The typical renter in the state makes $16.54 an hour. Holy Christ, people. This is getting so bad. It's moving eastward. It's moving east. It's moving east. Moving east, moving east. So if you're still joining us, guys, go back to the beginning and watch this from the start. There's some pretty good articles I read, especially this one with undocumented Americans living in Tijuana. Wow. Flagstaff renters are the worst in northern Arizona City. They need to earn $21.71 an hour a week to afford a 2-bedroom apartment. The city's estimated typical hourly wage is $12.37. So people can't afford to live anymore. And the problem is, like I said earlier in the show, these are the people that keep the infrastructure in the country going. It's not the rich. It's these people that get taxed from their wages that actually help the sewering and the garbage pickup and the street cleaning. It's those people, the working middle class. So now we're in Arizona, Phoenix, sorry. So people can't even afford to live there anymore. So we're going to go out in the desert? So let's move on. A Metro Phoenix home price is overheated? No, say experts. Of course they're overheated. While first-time home buyers repeatedly getting outbid on houses priced under $350. So $350 is pretty normal from someone coming from California or Vancouver. You know what I'm saying? They look at that and they're like, well, $350 is amazing. They're getting outbid. The bidding wars are happening in central, this part of America. This whole little strip of land here. Midwest, I guess? No, Phoenix is far west. But anyways, in this area here, this little strip going north to Utah, all the way up to Idaho, these people are getting shafted right now because of the mass people leaving Seattle and leaving all these other states. Calling Phoenix an overvalued brings back painful memories to the housing market's boom and bust. Again, this is homeowner help real estate agents Tia Matthew Cotes talk about their first time purchase. Let's see what they have to say. Hope it's something cool.
After 3 years of working in the cold Chicago winters, I just decided I wanted to move to the sunshine and live the rest of my life in the desert.
We rented for a year before we decided to buy.
So the market we're seeing right now is a very strong seller's market, and as we head into the summer, we're seeing an increased number of buyers out in the marketplace with inventory not keeping pace. So the franticness of the market and things that competition out there for buyers is going to be more fierce than what we're seeing right now as we march into the peak months of the year.
Well, rent seemed to be increasing. We'd been watching the market for a while, and we realized every house in our price range was just getting picked up so quickly. Plus, we miss having a yard for the babies. So living in a condo in a huge apartment complex just starts.
Okay, guys, we see what's going on there. Housing is getting unaffordable, and the cheaper homes are flying off the market faster than you could say hello. Report, Denver, among U.S. cities with the fastest declining housing affordability. Let's go back to our map. Phoenix, let's go to Denver in Colorado, Utah. Here we go, Denver, pow, here we go, Denver, Colorado. Let's look at the whole America, there it is. Central United States here, Denver, Colorado. Let's close all the Phoenix reports. Denver. The Denver metro area is among, like San Francisco, Bay Area, and Seattle when it comes to home price appreciation, outpaced the income growth. Again, people aren't making enough to live. Guys, this is a very big deal. People don't understand, Mike, it's the same thing everywhere. Okay, that's nice that you're seeing it's happening everywhere. It needs to be fixed if people can't afford to live. Do you understand? The middle class is what's stringing together. The working poor is, a lot of the working poor either can't live or disabled, whatever. But the middle class that wants to work, they're the ones that are holding this economy and the country together. If they can't afford to live, guess what happens? They fall into the dirt poor area. They don't contribute anymore. Their wages aren't taxed anymore, and the rich are going to pay. The rich are going to pay taxes. And then Joseph Hold'em Stern says, maybe 2007 to 2008 all over again. U.S., Canada, China, Australia, prices at an all-time high. World market reset coming. It has to be. There has to be. Everywhere you go, you can't afford to live. What's going on? Oh, why don't you get a job? Remember back in the days? Do you remember back in the days in the 70s and 80s? Dude, all you need to do is get yourself a job. Get your life straight. Rent for a few weeks, a couple of months, buy your place, settle down. Now, you have 2 jobs, you can't even rent. So how are people's lives supposed to get together? How are you supposed to get their lives together is what I'm trying to say. Outpacing income growth according to the new report, Nationwide Insurance, Nationwide Health Housing Markets report look relatively affordable, but prices in relation to income per capita, and found that among major metropolitan areas, Denver is the 5th steepest decline in affordability over the past year. San Jose, San Francisco, California, we know that. The median price in Denver is about 10% in the past year, $420,000. And also have been rising with a 1-bedroom apartment renting median of $1,000. So here are the 10 metro areas with the steepest decline in affordability. San Jose, San Francisco, Seattle, Oakland, Denver, Los Angeles, San Diego, Portland, Nassau, Suffolk County, New York, and Sacramento, California. All on the west coast of Central America, central part of the United States. You see what's happening here, people? So let's move to our map. We're in Denver. So let's move out to hot housing market frustrates buyers. What's going on, people? Where is this? Action News 13. Where are you guys? So hot that the best time peak of 2006 housing bubble to sell. A home buyer offering more than asking price than many desirable neighborhoods all over the country. Home buyers frustrated. Normal rules of buying don't apply, and that's when you start seeing shady crap happen. Where real estate agents lie and all crap happens. It's a crapshoot. It's like you don't know who to trust. Increase your odds. Sign up with the buyer's agent. Be prepared to offer listing price. Have lender's letter. Write a proposal letter. Yep, it's getting frustrating because a lot of people are realizing that they're getting outbid. Here we go. Crisis in the Valley. Not enough affordable housing. Where are we talking about? We are talking about Las Vegas. Let's go a little bit west here to Las Vegas, the Valley. Let's see what they have to say here.
Not enough inventory, too many in need. Rents are increasing all over the valley, largely because of all of this going on here in town.
But wages aren't keeping the pace.
Las Vegas routinely has one of the worst relative supplies of rental housing for the lowest income renters.
Minimum wage workers hit the hardest, and the future looks grim.
7 of the 10 occupations that the Bureau of Labor Statistics projects will grow the most over the next decade are low-wage occupations.
Out of reach, a new study from the National Low-Income Housing Coalition finds a huge gap between income and affordability here in the Valley.
A full-time worker would need to earn a little more than $15 per hour just to afford a modest one-bedroom apartment.
That's almost double minimum wage. Another study from the organization, 71,000 people in the Las Vegas-Henderson area are considered extremely low income, but there's a deficit of 64,000 affordable and available rental units, and it's getting worse.
Before they were going up about $50 every lease they go up, but the last one it jumped $200 on the last lease.
According to local firm Applied Analysis, apartment rental rates are up more than 23% in the past 6 years.
There's just not enough affordable housing for people to find.
So I wanted to throw that up there for you guys. Nevada Valley facing crisis. There's not enough low-income housing, and the prices are going up. A new study from National Low-Income Housing Coalition titled Out of Reach. Again, if these people can't buy, or not buy, never mind buy, if these people can't rent and they can't afford to live, you're going to lose a lot of income taxes that they could be paying. Taxes on the gas, taxes on the items they buy, taxes on everything. And if those people can't buy, I know a lot of those people don't spend too much, but those are the people you want. Let's keep moving on. Anon says, the banks, government, agent, cartels know how much people can afford and what people earn and what the market will pay, maxing out and pushing people to the borrowing to the max. And a lot of these people don't borrow money. A lot of these people don't have credit cards, these very low income earners. They don't. They're just living off what they make, and that's becoming a big problem when you can't, Let's move on. Boise ups rent for city-owned unaffordable housing. So again, Boise, Idaho. Let's find Boise here on my map. It's up here somewhere. There we go. Boise, Idaho. So again, let me close that. Close that. Rent is about more expensive for residents in Boise's rental housing program. There you go. Same problem. How much per square foot? See, there it's still affordable. Monthly rent for city-owned units. So these are city-owned units. $280 for 410. And for studios, $390 for 475 square foot. So it's still in an affordable range, but it's still not enough. Utah. This is a good one, actually. Utah. As Utah's housing crisis worsens, business leaders launch campaign to change public sentiment. Again, amid widening evidence of Utah's affordable housing crunch is worsening, businesses and community leaders met Thursday in Salt Lake City for the first of several big tent meetings to address the problem. Salt Lake City Chamber is launching major public awareness campaign meant to highlight dramatically rising home prices. Again, guys, in Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Where are you? Oops, I went too high. Montana, Wyoming. There it is, Utah. It's just east of Nevada. And there it is, Salt Lake City. So it's now this cancer is moving east. The West Coast, yeah, you got New York and stuff, but I talked at the beginning of the show of New York, why it's expensive. A lot of those people that own those $20 million penthouses in New York and those expensive homes live in those homes. They don't leave them empty. You know what I'm saying? They actually live in those homes. Utah. Yeah, Salt Lake City's launching major public awareness, shrinking affordability a historic gap in Utah. The number of households available for housing units, the deficit is now estimated at 250,000 homes. Holy Jesus. 250,000 homes, guys, is a deficit. That's what they need to make up. Median home prices in Utah have soared in just a generation, swelling from $125,000 to $347,000. Wow. So you see what I'm saying? This is like the all great affordable America, the great housing affordability is starting to disappear. You're going to start to see the median average house price in America be $300,000, not 190 or 200 where it is. It's going to get to 300 and 400 and 500. And people are just going to reach a breaking point. America's housing crisis is spreading to smaller cities. Oh, it sure is. Have you considered the racket and the lights and the crowds and the traffic and everything that's going to happen to those who live there? It's a familiar sight in America. A public meeting, angry residents, the housing developer trying to explain himself over the boss. Take the money you've got and get out of here. One person shouts. A chant begins. Oppose, oppose, oppose. Except for this, not in San Francisco, LA, or Boston, or Boise, Idaho. And it's a preview of the next chapter of the housing crisis. Rising rents, displacement, and yes, NIMBYism, and spreading America's biggest cities to those in the middle tier. Last year, according to the Apartment List survey, the fastest rising rents in the county were in Orlando, Florida, Reno, Nevada, and Sacramento, California. Another survey, Rent Cafe, found exactly one city with a population greater than 500,000, Las Vegas, at the top 25. Small cities are starting to face small challenges as larger ones. Renting a two-bedroom apartment in Jacksonville, Florida requires at least $18.63 per hour. Boise downtown condos are going for $400,000. And you know what, guys? 5 years ago, they were like $70,000. Yep. A jump from 79th place in just 5 years earlier. And it's not only going to get worse as the poor get pushed inward from the coasts. This is exactly what I'm talking about tonight. As the poor get pushed inward from the coasts and young workers seek out few affordable places left, they will arrive in America's smaller cities, which may not be ready to take them in. And that's what's happening here in Merritt. There's so many people I'm meeting from Vancouver. It's phenomenal. I think if I was to run for mayor in Merritt, I would just get the people that move from Vancouver to vote for me, and I think that would just cover it. You know what I'm saying? Rising rents in small and mid-sized cities are a humanitarian crisis. Boise is, by some measures, the fastest growing city in America. It added 3% to its population last year, and Idaho is projected to add another 200,000 people by 2025. This should be good news. The city's growth is driven by booming diversity, economy, and influx of skilled and educated young people, but Boise isn't adding homes fast enough to keep up, according to the analysis of the department. So somebody comes from California, sells their house for $1.6 million, and then ends up buying 5 homes in Boise, rents out 4 of them, and becomes a slumlord. But then these people can't afford to rent from them now. The Department of Housing Development, there is a demand for 10 times as many homes as the city is building. The impact is devastating. Nearly half of Boise's renters are living in apartments and eat up over 30% of their income. That's 30%. People are paying 68% in Vancouver. So this is a huge plague. I might reread this article and do another show just about this, because this is very important. Because this article explains everything I'm talking about in this show. So there it is. America's housing crisis spreading to smaller cities, and they're taking a boot. And let's finish off with this one: the most expensive places to live in America. So it's not for housing. New Jersey's number 10. New Jersey's getting out of control with lack of space to build in New Jersey. New Jersey's not huge, guys, and the prices are going to be going up in those smaller states because there's lack of area to build. So look at the average home price in New Jersey, $5.55. Gallon of milk is $2. Wow, monthly energy bill $200. Rhode Island, again, another small state. Providence, Rhode Island. I've been there many times. It's a small state. Average home, $435. Right? When I went to Providence maybe 6-7 years ago, the average home was $169. You know what I'm saying? $435. And your monthly energy bill is even more. It's $212. And then Connecticut. I've been to Connecticut too. Connecticut. I've been there so many times. $681,000 for the average home. Monthly energy bill, $200. Number 7, Maryland, beside Connecticut. Maryland, $746,000, $176 for a monthly bill. Oregon, we just spoke about Oregon, $507,000, and energy bill $145. Alaska, the last frontier. Juneau, Alaska, average home price $509,000. New York, Manhattan. Of course, but people live in those homes. Average home price in Manhattan, $1.7 million. And monthly energy bill, $210. Massachusetts. So I guess we're going Boston, I guess? It just says Massachusetts. I guess we're going with Boston. Yeah, Boston, $604,000. California, I would say San Francisco, yep. 1.182 million, 1.1 million. And then Hawaii. Remember, not a lot of land in Hawaii. Average house, $1 million. And energy bill is a lot, $432, because that's air conditioning. So it's $432. So I wanted to share this with you guys tonight. Do a little bit of America the Great and where it's headed right now, down in Trumplandia. Where is America headed? Where is Canada headed? Where is Australia headed? Where is the UK headed? Where are all these English-speaking countries? Why is the middle class being bought out? You never touch the middle class. When fiddling with economies and playing around with numbers, you never touch the middle class, because they're the ones that support the infrastructure. They're the ones that pay the taxes. They're the ones that pay the income tax. They're the ones that get taxed on their wages. They're the ones that pay the tax on the gas when they go buy gasoline to drive every day to work. A millionaire doesn't drive every day to work, especially if he's like retired. They don't drive every day. The middle class does. And once you start getting rid of the middle class and they start disappearing from these big cities, they start piling up in smaller cities like Boise, Idaho, like I was talking about. It becomes a massive problem. And there's a huge housing refugee problem. Housing refugee of American propers, born and raised in their own cities, that can't afford to live. No, Happy Jess is in the comments saying middle class soon will be lower class. No, middle class is working poor. That's what it is. It's working poor. Because middle class meant you owned your house in 5-10 years. Middle class was in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. When you paid off your house in 5 years, you bought a boat and 2 cars, and you sent your kids to school and you paid for their university. That's middle class. It's working poor now. Middle class is like, middle class, that's what middle class was. Then there was the rich that had investments, that had stocks, that had bonds, that had multiple properties. Then you had the middle class that owned their home, owned their car, but they were middle class. Then you have the working poor, and then you have the poor. Now everybody in the middle class has worked down to the working poor. Anyways, guys, I wanted to throw this out there for you guys. Mia Nino, good night, Mike. Read about Minapakula, Japan. Cheers. Yeah, I'll look at that later tonight. But anyways, people from all over the world watching, wondering what is happening in their local metropolises. It is I, Mike in the Night. I know I talk different topics on Saturday nights. I just wanted to talk a bit about this whole Western United States and what's happening. The Great American Buyout, guys, 2018 to 2020. The Great American Buyout. What's going to happen with America, guys? Comment below in the comment section. I really appreciate everybody contributing in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Guys, get me out there. Let's get me out there. And if you want to support the transmission, please do not send me money on eBay. Just buy something from my... Don't send me money on PayPal, sorry. Buy something from the eBay shop. I have a couple of stuff I sold today to some people. I sold Dark Stories today. It's a really cool card game. somebody bought it from from this channel, and I'm shipping it to Orillia, Ontario. So people are buying stuff from me. They messaged me and said, I'm one of your viewers, and that looks like a cool game. And like, buy it and play, have fun, get off the electronics, buy games. I sell card games, board games. Get off the damn electronics, get the kids unplugged. It is I, Mike Martins. Thank you for watching. Big hug. Good night.